أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين Alhamdulillah, all praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has gathered us here, enabled us to wake up and be here today in the morning and listen to and learn about the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Peace and salutations upon the beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, upon the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, upon the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and upon the whole ummah. When we take the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are many misconceptions or many ideas that we have ourselves or many questions that needs answering, and it becomes very difficult, especially you traveling on the path to Allah and you want to see some results, and there's certain question that arises in your mind that why am I not progressing? Why do I need to do this? Why do I need to do my meditation? Why do I need to do dhikr? Because after a while, so for example, when somebody takes a course, it's fresh for them. So the first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, first month, second month, third month, they're like motivated, and they're doing it. But when they, according to what they think, that they don't see the results, then this is when the motivation starts going down. So they start thinking that, today I'm going to miss my dhikr today, or I'll miss my meditation. It doesn't make much difference really. Or I don't need to take my sheet. So he starts getting these ideas for himself that, this is, I'm going to travel to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala according to the way I want to travel, not according to the guidance that's been given to the person, according to the way the mashaykhs, the friends of Allah who've already been there and they've traveled the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they know the inroads, they know the ins and the outs of reaching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they've taught us this is how you reach Allah. But then all this ideas, we start getting, the nafs comes in, the shaitan comes in, and then we start doing our own things. We start missing. So inshallah today I want to talk about the 7 forms of spiritual training. So when a person, seeker, takes the path, he might go through certain parts of this for his own development, for him to progress to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So always remember, when a person takes the path, it's not about the way he feels. For example, if he feels closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he thinks he's progressing. When he doesn't feel closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he thinks that, I'm not progressing. This has nothing to do with feelings, because feelings is part of a person. Sometimes he'll feel up, sometimes he'll feel down. But reaching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is nothing to do with feelings, that I feel closer to Allah, that means I'm progressing. That, because otherwise the person be worshipping his own feelings rather than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us what to do. We have to do it whether we like it or not. It's like salah, 5 times we have to pray. Now sometimes we feel like praying, sometimes we don't feel like praying. But does that give us a choice that we shouldn't pray? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it compulsory for us to pray. So whether we feel good or whether we don't feel good, we still have to pray. We don't have a choice in the matter. Picking up the Quran, you have a choice. You want to pray the Quran, pray the Quran, alhamdulillah. If you don't want to pray, that's up to you. You won't get any sin for it. It's good to pray. But I'm saying is, with salah, you don't have fasting in the month of Ramadan. For example, if you fit the criteria, then you have to pray. You know, there's nothing wrong with you mentally, physically, you're okay. And you're at that age where it's compulsory for you to fast, then at that age, then you can fast. So you have to fast. Giving zakah, if you're earning money, so you have to give 2.5% of your wealth. Whether you like it or not, you have to give it. If you certain for the full year, if you have certain amount of money, you have to give it. So same way with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when it's nothing to do with feelings, states, visions and all these things, nothing. Somebody might see a good dream, somebody might see a good vision, or I'm going closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, these are part of the person's training. So the first one is, as a person, physically, when we go to the gym, yeah, we train, and when we train, our body feels better, you know. And because of this training and eating healthy, then we become more stronger, isn't it? It doesn't go the opposite. When a person trains in the gym, he becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. Obviously, first time when he goes to the gym, he might feel all his body aching, but after a while, he becomes stronger. The same way, he develops certain kind of qualities that he has when he goes to the gym. And this is the physical body, you know, that the person can see himself, you know, that, okay, my muscles are changing. He can see in the mirror that he's getting some muscles, chest is getting built up, he's getting his lats and other things, biceps, triceps. But then when it comes to the spirit, but the person cannot see his spirit. Where his spirit, he can't see, is inside his body, so he can't see the spirit wherever the spirit is inside the body. So how will he know how to train the spirit? If he can't see something which is hidden, how will he know how to train it? And this is the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the friends of Allah to show you and guide you that this is the spirit. It needs training as well. The body needs training and the spirit needs training as well. Now the body, for example, if a person eats, yeah, so one day he eats and so he has his breakfast, then midday meal, and then afternoon snack and evening meal. So he eats, and so for example, if he fasts for one day, yeah, and he only eats something very small, also one day he doesn't eat at all, it will make a little bit of difference, but not major difference to his body. All he'll feel is pangs of hunger, but it's not gonna like make him fall on the floor or anything like this. But after a few days, what will happen? The person will become weak, and because of not eating and drinking, you know, he might collapse, you know, and certain diseases might happen in his body. So it will affect him physically, you know, when he's not eating. Same way, the spirit needs food as well. Without giving the spirit the food that it needs, then it can die as well. Meaning in the sense that it can become very, very weak. And then it's prone to attack from the shaitan. The shaitan can attack this person really bad. So it's extremely difficult and impossible for a person to know how to train his spirit. So how do they train the spirit? So point number one is, the first one is through zikr and reflection. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran about zikr and reflection is the life of the spirit, meaning the heart and the spirit. So zikr is the remembrance, being in the presence of Allah, and you do the zikr. And when the person travels the path, he gets given the zikr to do. This is his personal zikr. And reflection is meditation. So the person will be given meditation when he embarks on the journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the food for the spirit, the zikr and the meditation. But what happens is, for example, we disregard this. You know, we might do it, like I mentioned earlier, we might do it for a few weeks, or it's on and off. We do it one day, then 2 days we miss it. One day we do it, 2 days we miss it. So If a person carries on like this, then he's not getting the necessary food for his spirit, and that is when his spirit becomes weak. Yeah, because this is and person starts to develop the spiritual disease in his heart, because this is a hidden matter, and the person won't know what's happening inside him. When he starts missing his zikr and meditation, the person will not know what's going on inside him. And before he knows it, it's too late. So it's like food, like certain animals can store certain foods for certain periods of time. So same way, when a person does his zikr meditation, he has a storage system as well. So it stores itself, so he gets motivation from this, but then when the storage runs out, then he has no motivation and he becomes really weak. And it becomes, at that point when he's weak, this is when the shaitan attacks him. And when the shaitan attacks him at that point, he doesn't even realize that the shaitan's attacked him. And he drops, meaning he falls so bad that it becomes very, very difficult for him to get back up. And some people even die in this state, where they've fallen so bad, they can't get back up, and they're just in that state and they die. So it can affect the person in his grave on the day of judgment, and the person can get punished. And the mashaykhs mentioned that if a person, for example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on the natural fitrah, he's been born pure. Allah's made the person pure, and through his own lifestyle, he makes himself impure. You know what I mean? So and the mashayikh, that's a great injustice to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah made you pure and you made yourself dirty, and then in that state you die. So the mashayikh mentioned that this person deserves punishment because he did not even try to purify himself. He just went in this state, So always remember that the shaitan, and generally what happens is when a person has time on his hands and he doesn't utilize his time properly. So what happens is he doesn't have, like for example, he doesn't have a set time for his zikr, he doesn't have a set time for his meditation, and he's just like browsing on his Facebook and other social media networks, or he's just doing whatever, watching TV, whatever. So in that period of time, what happens is, because he doesn't have a set time, then sometimes he can become too tired to do his zikr and meditation, because it comes to that point where it's too late and he thinks, oh, chalo, I'll start fresh tomorrow. But that tomorrow never comes, because tomorrow is the same scenario again. So then it's like a vicious cycle. The person is like, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah. So he makes from, Allah forgive me, I'll do it tomorrow. Then tomorrow comes again. He goes, oh, I'll do it later on. So he delays his zikr and meditation. He delays it. And again, it doesn't happen. So the mashayikh is saying that you are in a fertile ground for the shaitan to sow his seeds. When you are like this, the shaitan is just looking for that opportunity, to make you commit some sin, or he's just there waiting for you to do something, and then he can plant his seed and take you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So don't give the shaitan and the nafs chance to plant this. When you have a set time, so for example, your daily routine is like you go to college, university, or you go to work, and then you come home, you have something to eat, then you got a few hours spare, then you think, okay, in them few hours, I'll put my half an hour zikr meditation there. Then I'll do it no matter what, every single day. It's like going to uni or college or going to work, yeah. You have a set time, isn't it, that you have to be at university at a certain time, yeah. So the same way, at this particular time, switch your phones off. Switch your phone off for half an hour. Yeah, don't even put it on silent. Switch it off and put it on aeroplane mode, because that is the time when you give that half an hour to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the time when people start ringing you. People that you've never heard, spoken to for a while, suddenly you'll get text from them. Suddenly they'll just ring you up. Suddenly somebody will come into your room, whatever. Just have that set time and say, this is how does shaitan work? He works through the mind. So he whispers into somebody's mind, yeah, and then that person thinks, okay, let me ring him. So this is how it works. So that's why it's important that at that time, you've given that time to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But sometimes what we tend to do is like we have the phone with us. Phone is a major distraction as well. Sometimes we have the phone with us, and while we're doing the zikr, we might flick through Facebook, WhatsApp. Somebody's just messaged you, or oh, let me just read this message. And at the same time, our tongue's doing the zikr. That's not zikr. You know, the zikr is when all your faculties, your mind, your heart, your soul is engaged in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, so everything is engaged in the remembrance of Allah. Not that your tongue is engaged in the remembrance of Allah, and your hand is engaged, and your eyes is engaged, and your mind is engaged on your phone. That's not the zikr of Allah. They say that even if you pray Durood Sharif, the Mashaykhs mentioned once that if a person prays Durood Sharif and his heart is not connected to the Prophet ﷺ while he's praying Durood Sharif, then rather being beneficial for this person, the Durood Sharif can harm the person as well, because he's not remembering with his heart the Prophet ﷺ, with his mind he's not remembering the Prophet ﷺ. So it can rather harm the person, it can backfire on him. So it's important that when a person does his zikr meditation, that he's in the presence. That's why what happens is when people, I do my zikr meditation, but it's not having an effect on me, it's not having an effect on my heart. Well, why is it not having an effect? How do you do it? How do you, I've got my phone next to me, and like I just do Allah zikr, and I'm just looking around and stuff. That's not how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to like focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do it in that way. So that's the first one, the zikr and the meditation, for the person. That's his food and water to make his spirit strong, so he can refrain from certain diseases, certain sins. That's why these go hand in hand. It's not that person is doing the tick sheet and he's not doing his zikr meditation, because that will have a different effect. So zikr meditation and refraining from sin, because if a person doesn't do zikr meditation, it'll have an effect on him not refraining from sin. He won't be able to control his tongue, he won't be able to control his eyes, ears and bodily organs. He won't be able to control his mind, because it'll be too difficult. And this is the reason why these are given for the person. The second is a person is trained to fight against the shaitan through different amals and practices. For example, they are given sincerity sheet, the prophetic sunnahs, the spiritual prayer, so these are, and obviously the tongue sheet to start off with. So these are the things that will help a person as well. So one is zikr meditation, and the second way the person gets trained is he gets given these sheets. So certain qualities start developing in this person's mind and the body organs. So if a person does it correctly, then he'll see what's happening. He'll see the difference that's made in his life. But if a person is not doing it correctly, then he won't see that much difference, and he'll start complaining, brother, I'm on the course, I've been on it for 10 years, I've doing my zikr meditation, I've done all my sheets, but it's still not having an effect on my body. How did you do your sheets? So there's there's nothing wrong with the course, because this course goes back all the way to the Prophet ﷺ. He has a sanad all the way back, a chain of narration all the way back to the Prophet ﷺ. So that can't be wrong. So something is wrong with you, the way you are doing things. So this is where you have to understand. And the third one is a person is trained in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through gatherings of nasiya knowledge, through gatherings of collecting zikr, gatherings of durood and salam. So when these majalises happen, they for example, a person has a car and the car's running out of petrol, and then when he comes to a gathering like Mondays and Thursdays, then he fuels up. So for Monday, it'll last till Thursday, and for Thursday, it will last till Monday. So it fuels up his car, and this when he starts becoming he stays strong all the time. The reason because in these gatherings you'll meet. So, for example, if you're struggling on something, you'll meet another brother, or you'll meet a Ustaad, you can just speak to him and say, "Oh, I'm struggling," and all it takes one sentence, or a few sentences to. If a person is demotivated, it takes a few sentences, or even just being around the presence of certain brothers, that can have an effect on him in such a way that it gives him that motivation to get back up, or he might hear something in a talk that gives him that motivation to get back up again. So gatherings so it's very, very important, these gatherings that take place. These are all part of the package. So that's the third one. And also it creates this thirst, inside the person's heart as well. And the mashaykhs are mentioned, sometimes the angels come, sometimes the spirit of the mashaykhs attend, and they pay close attention to the people who are in the gathering, and other things that happen, and sometimes they get spiritual gifts as well for attending these gatherings. So there's many blessings that a person receives for attending these gatherings. So if you know anybody, this is part of you as well. If you're steadfast, if you know somebody struggling, then try to bring them to the gatherings and the zikr gatherings and the talks and stuff, and then you'll see. And if anybody can't attend, the other simple way is to just go on Facebook or YouTube and just watch one of the talks of our teacher, and then you'll see yourself automatically that you'll get motivated straight away. If a person cannot attend the gathering for whatever reason, work or whatever, just do not miss the gatherings. Watch it online. If you can't watch online, watch the recording afterwards. But have a set time that Monday is the gathering, say 7:30 it takes place. But you can, for whatever reason you're at work or whatever, then you say early in the morning, watch. On Tuesday morning you can watch it, or whenever you have time the next day, just make sure you watch it. Don't miss it. When a person starts missing these gatherings, this is where the problem starts happening. So also the mashaykhs are saying that in regards to when somebody says that he wants to go into seclusion, I'll do my own thing, I'll do my zikr, meditation in seclusion. But this is not necessary for the person, because this training is necessary. The gathering, coming into the zikr gathering, is necessary for the person to attend. Until he gets permission, or the mashaykhs say to him that you're going to seclusion, you're going to 40-day khalwat or whatever, then this person that is good for him. But at the moment, if you've not been told anything like that, and you make your own decision that I'm going to go on a 40-day, khalwat, I'm going to stay, I'm not going to meet anybody. But that way, he's on his own now. And then what's going to happen is the shaitan can attack this person. So that's why it's important that the person, until he reaches a certain level, he needs to carry on attending the gatherings. Also, when somebody says that I started the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm not steadfast or whatever. So the simple answer to that is that these are certain medicines that person needs to take. For example, he does personal zikr meditation, he does the sheets, and he attends the gatherings. And if something is missing out of his medication, then obviously he's not going to become steadfast. He's going to become weak. The more you attend and the more you do it, the more you'll become stronger. So, okay, so number 4 is problems and afflictions. So the first 3 I mentioned, and now this is the 4th one. So this 4th one is beyond your control. The first 3 is in your control. Yeah, to do the zikr and meditation, yeah, is in your control. To do the sheets is in your control. To attend the gatherings is in your control. So the first three is in your control. Now the fourth one is not in your control, which is problems and affliction. So something might come during your life, a problem might come, and an affliction might come. Something that you thought would never happen has happened. One of your family members becomes ill, or anything. So anything that comes is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the only thing you can do at that point is to have the right reaction. So if you have the right reaction at that time, then this will take a person closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If he has the wrong reaction, so the wrong reaction, for example, as said, once the Mashaykh mentioned the story that there's a person who went on Umrah, and when he reached Makkah, I think one day he did tawaf, and then he became ill. So he's in his bed now, and everybody else is doing the tawaf of the Kaaba. So he's like doing afsoos in his bed. Oh, I came all this way, I had good intentions, to do the tawaf of the Kaaba, or I've become ill, or I can't do it, and he's like moaning, groaning, this, that, and the other, like we normally do. Even though we might have good intentions to do something, but we're not happy with the will of Allah. We want to be happy with our own will, meaning that we want to decide our own will. So what happened was, this person, rather than him getting close, he's in Makkah now. Now, a person who's in Makkah, everybody thinks, okay, mashallah, this person, he's going to a blessed place, and inshallah he will get the closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rather than being close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he became further away from Allah because of his wrong reaction that he had. Even being in the blessed city of Makkah, he was further away. So anything that happens to you, I know it's hard. I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I struggle as well. Everybody struggles because this is human nature. When something happens to us, straight away we have the wrong reaction. Automatically our mind says something else. Rather than being pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you say that, straight away we have the shaitan kicks in and nafs kicks in, and before you know it, we like the news report. All our family members know what's happened to us, all our neighbors and everybody knows, oh, today this happened to me. And then in the end, rather than asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first reaction you should have, when something wrong happens, is that you should make wudu and pray 2 rakat salatul hajat and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help. That's the first reaction. Wallah, help me, this affliction has come. Wallah, find me, make a means for me to get over this. Wallah, make me patient. So these types, a person does this and he makes dua to Allah. What we tend to do is, we tend to go around everybody else, and then when all the doors are shut, when nobody's want to help you, then what happens is, then we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we do the opposite. And some of the friends of Allah has mentioned, a person who does this, the doors are closed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help. So he doesn't receive the help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because he went to the people first, rather than going to Allah first, then looking for the means. So you go to Allah, ask Allah's help first, and then you ask the people, then you go to look for the means. So the first thing, anything happens, you should sing, oh Allah, please help me. There's people pray, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, and there's certain du'as that the Prophet ﷺ has mentioned as well. Oh Allah, save me from this affliction to the nearest meaning and give me something better in return. So a person can make certain du'as as well. So number 5, the inner states. So again, this is beyond our control. What types of feelings you're going through? Is your state happy or sad? Do you feel inclined towards goodness, or don't you feel like doing anything? So a person might go through different states while he's on the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he'll go through a happiness, He'll go through pleasure, he'll go through sadness, he'll go through grief, he might get waswasa and stuff like this. So all these things are to do with the inner states of the heart. So at that time, a person shouldn't really pay attention to his inner state. He must carry on the first three aspects which is in his control, no matter how he feels. Whether he feels sad, whether he doesn't feel like doing it, he just has to do, because part of the course is mujahida. So the person has to do some form of mujahida. A person does mujahida in different ways. A person might work for 12 hours a day. That's mujahida, isn't it? So that the person can do mujahida. Yeah? But when it comes to 20-minute zikr, the person thinks it's like a mountain. When he can stand for 12 hours or he can work for 12 hours a day, when it comes to 20 minutes, the 20 minutes to him looks like a mountain, and the 12 hours he can easily do. So all it is his mentality needs to change. His mentality needs to redirect his mentality that he knows that he's capable of doing it. He knows that if he's worked for 12 hours, he's capable of doing that mujahid. All he needs to do is direct it towards the zikr and the meditation. So mentally he tells himself that, look, I can't do it because I can do this. Why can I not do that? And the human being is such a, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the human beings that human beings can do mujahidah. Because if you look at the lives of the friends of Allah and the stories, you can see the great mujahidas that they did, for hours on end, waking up in the middle of the night, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they were humans as well, but how did they do it? Because they were sincere in their heart and they wanted to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are insincere, we're not sincere with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We say we want to reach Allah, but our minds and hearts are saying something else. We say we want to become Allah's friend, but then we want to become the friend of the shaitan as well. So we have two agendas going at the same time. One is I want to reach Allah, the other is I want to do these things as well. So a person has to be clear in his heart that, okay, and he has to make that decision that no matter what happens, I'm going to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is, you can see in the life stories of even non-Muslims, when they have their mindset change, they can achieve many, many things. Many, many things that weren't capable of them achieving. So alhamdulillah, we have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help with us. So for us, we can do it as well. So when these types of feelings come, you just ignore it. Don't try to fight with these feelings. So when a person has this feeling, I don't want to do it, don't fight it, because the more you entertain it, the more it's going to become worse. So you just let it go, let it go, let it go. So imagine a conveyor belt, and say for example, something's going on the conveyor belt, say a toy. Now as the toy is going along, and you pick up every toy and checking, some toys are going to fall on the floor, and so the production line will be ruined. The same way, when these types of feelings come, the more you pick it up, the more you pay attention to it, the more it'll get worse. So main thing is just let it go, let it go. You just ignore it and you just focus on the job that you have to do. And the sixth thing is the test from the mashaykhs. So a person who wants to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to go through certain tests. Tests that can be set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tests that the mashaykhs can test the student to see how far he's reached. For example, it's in every era, whether you're doing boxing, whether you're doing martial arts, when you reach a certain level, they put you through certain tests. And whether you're getting education, why do you take exams and tests? To see the potential of the person, how far has he reached, how far can he go, is he ready for the next level, is he ready for the next step? So these tests are set there so that he can reach the next level. So every teacher has his own way of testing, which actually means developing the seeker. So some become harsh to people, just a matter of test. So some mashaiks, they become harsh on the students just to test his reaction. So he might feel, this, that, and that, but this is just a test. If he passes the test, then he can go further. Some get assigned certain duties to do, to see whether he'll do the duties or not, whether he's steadfast on doing the duties. So some will say certain things to the seeker, to the student. And some, even this is a test, that some of the mashaiks, they will just stay silent and they let the student speak to see what he's saying. Even whatever you say comes out of your mouth, you can put yourself in a lot of trouble as well. I mean, we can do that physically, don't we? When you speak to somebody and suddenly you say something and then they say, oh, who told you this? Oh, nobody. Well, somebody must have told you. Who told you this? And then next thing you know, oh, well, why did he say that? Oh, let me go and see him. Then he goes to the other person. Then he just kicks off and certain things happen and then you fall out. So when a person, when he goes in to see their teacher, then they have to be careful in what they say. And they have to control their mind and their heart and their tongue at the same time. Not to let their thoughts divert somewhere else and your tongue is saying something else. And that's why you have to write it down beforehand just to make sure that you're saying the correct things when you go and meet the teacher as well. So these are some of the tests. Where the teacher is interrupting, saying and correcting, that is a normal state. But if you're saying things and they are listening, this is also a form of a test. So the mashaiks test people with different instructions, sometimes very harsh instructions. That is also part of the training. So the person, if he wants to reach further, so these are some of the things. I remember once somebody told me that there was a certain mashaikh, and what would happen with his students is that before he puts them, say for example, they lived in Jordan. Now a person from the UK can travel all the way to Jordan, and they say, okay, you're ready for the 40-day Khalwat. So he travels all prepared for the 40-day Khalwat, 40-day seclusion. Now, before the 40-day seclusion, the mashayikh or the sheikh can send his student to the shop just to buy something. Yeah, so maybe a bunch of tomatoes or something like this. And from him going to the shop and coming back, the teacher will know whether this person is ready for the 40-day seclusion or not. And if he fails the test just to buy a bag of tomatoes, because when he comes back, he has to let his teacher know everything that happened from the moment he left the khanka to the shop and on the way back, how he interacted with people, how he bought the tomatoes, everything like this. So he has to say everything in detail. And when he comes back, and if the sheikh is happy, then he would pass the test. Otherwise, he would fail and he can't do the 40-day seclusion. So even though he's traveled all that way. So these are certain tests, because then they know who's ready and who's not ready. So it can be a service to the deen, so the mashayikh can test the person, he can put him in a certain position and the person can be tested. And number 7 is a person will get tested through visions or dreams. That's why many people have been destroyed and some have been given guidance. So a person might get some dreams. He'll see maybe a good dream and he starts interpreting his own dream, thinking, in his dream he saw somebody and that somebody said, oh, you're a very pious person, or you're going to be the next, the next kutub of the time, you're going to be the next ghost, you're going to be the next abdal, or certain spiritual rank you're going to get. And then through this, he might start getting arrogance in his heart, so he thinks, he starts looking down upon people. You know what I mean? So even with visions, many people have been misguided through visions, and this is sometimes if you have for dreams or visions, whatever, and you present this to the teacher, and the teacher says, yes, this is true, then it's a different matter. But when a person starts interpreting his own dreams and visions and stuff, then that's where it becomes difficult for him, because he doesn't know what the actual meaning is. He's not qualified to give that meaning. And that's why many people have been destroyed and some have been given guidance. Like Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam had to sacrifice his son. So this was a test for Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam. Imagine being a father and then you have a dream, and in the dream you say, go and sacrifice your son. It's very, very difficult, isn't it? You know what I mean? So imagine how Hazrat Ibrahim, after such a long time having a son, imagine how they must have felt. So disciples are tested to see how they would react in these certain situations. So when a person takes a course of self-purification, he's taken through these 7 things gradually, and if they have the right reaction, then he will pass the test. So if a person does this, he takes the course of self-purification, and he's steadfast and he's sincere with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he goes through these 7 points. The first, remember, that's the main point that we have to focus on. Yeah, the first 3 is the main one that we have to focus on. The rest is beyond our control, and to have the right reaction. So anything that happens to us, feelings, states, whether we get dreams, visions, whatever, always have the right reaction. Obviously dreams and visions, these have to be, they have to go to the teacher to get it clarified. But the rest, when you have afflictions, you're going through some problems, then always have the right reaction, and this is what will take you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For example, a person, through his zikr and meditation and through his good deeds, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might want to take him to a certain level, spiritual level, certain level in Jannah, but this person through his own worship might never reach that level. He might not reach that level. So what happens is the person gets problems, afflictions, stuff like this, so that his station can be elevated to that level that was destined for him by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So then he can reach that level. So for every situation and every state, for a believer, it's always good. All situations is good for a believer. Always remember that. So whatever you're going through, Allah knows what's best for you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in control of your life, in control of your family's life, everything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything. He knows what is good for you and what is not good for you. If we hear this all the time, where we say that, how much does a mother love her own son? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the believer 70 times more than a mother. Now we might have to believe in this. It's no good just saying it. We have to really believe in it. That Allah loves us more, a believer 70 times more than a mother loves his own child or baby. Until we start believing this, then we'll start realizing that, the person will have more want to be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The person will have the right reaction in every situation. A person will accept whatever comes his way, accepting the will of Allah. So whatever has happened beyond your control is the will of Allah, and you should be happy with that. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give me the ability first to act upon what I've said, and then everybody else, inshallah, and forgive me for any mistakes I made. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim.